Hello students, welcome to 13th lecture of solid state. In this lecture we will discuss about point defects. As we discussed in last lecture, we have two type of defects in crystals. Point defect and line defect. If defect is obtained or occurred on a single lattice point, then it is called point defects. And if entire row of particle or constituent particle has defect, then it is called line defect. We will discuss about point defects in this lecture. Mainly we have three type of point defects, and in some of them we have subcategories. So first of all, first one is stoichiometry defects. So in this type of defects, stoichiometry, that means ratio of constituent particles, are maintained. That means if let us assume we have two particles in crystal, and initial ratio is per one first particle we have two second particle. That means let us say first particle is A, second is B. So it means we have AB2 molecular formula. Per 1A we have 2B. So after defect, this ratio do not change. Stoichiometry is maintained. With defect or without defect, molecular formula of given compound or crystal will be same. So it is called stoichiometry defects. Then we have second one, impurity defects. In impurity defects, as its name suggests, impurities will be present in it. It will be obtained by manually adding impurities in crystalline substance. And next one we have non-stoichiometric defects. As the name suggests, stoichiometry of compound or crystal is not maintained because of this defect. That means if initial formula of compound is AB2, that means per 1A we have 2B, then after defect it will change. It may be A1.1B or A0.95B2 like formulas. That means ratio or molecular formula before and after defect will be different. So it is called non-stoichiometry defects. It do not maintain stoichiometry of compound. So let us discuss about our first defect, stoichiometric defects. So in stoichiometric defect we have four other subcategories: vacancy defect, interstitial defect, Frankel defect, and Schottky defect. We can categorize these four defects in two separate parts. So first one and second one, that means vacancy and interstitial defects, these two belongs to same category. That means these type of defects are observed in non-ionic compounds. And last two, Frankel and Schottky defects, these type of defects are observed in ionic compound. That means vacancy and interstitial defects are seen in same non-ionic compounds, and Frankel and Schottky, they are seen in ionic compounds. So these two belongs to non-ionic and these two belongs to ionic compounds. Now stoichiometry defects are also called intrinsic or thermodynamic defects because they are mainly dependent on temperature. If temperature increases, then these type of defects also increases. That means at higher temperature you will notice more defects. So let us discuss vacancy defect first. So we have figure mentioned in textbook. So as you can see in this figure, in ideal crystal, all of these points, lattice points, will be occupied by constituent particles. That means if we have perfect crystal, then it will be something like this. So all of the points right now, let us assume they are occupied by constituent particles. So total number of constituent particles will be, now we have 4 particles in one row and we have 3 rows. That means total we have 12 particles. But if some of the particles, either during the crystallization process or due to heating crystal, some of the particles loses their positions and they create empty space at their actual locations. That means they will create vacancies. So these type of defects do not change volume of crystal, but they do change mass of crystal, because mass is due to constituent particles and number of constituent particles are decreasing in this type of defects. So as we can see, suppose if you have perfect crystal, then number of particles will be 12, and mass of one particle, let us assume it is m, and volume of crystal, suppose it is a cube. So that means perfect crystal will have density is equal to 12 into m divided by a cube. But with defect, these two locations will be empty. So that means total number of particles will be 10, and mass total is equal to 10 into m divided by a cube. Volume is constant again. So this is with defect density, and this will be without defect density. So as we can see, due to the vacancies, mass decreases, and mass and density, they are directly proportional. So that's why these type of defects will decrease the density of substance. So here we have example of vacancy defect, how vacancy defect is created and how it affects adjacent particles. So as you can see here, at one location, that means here a defect is created. One particle is removed from this location, and that's why adjacent rows shows some mutation. Okay, as you can see, some horizontal and vertical rows shows mutation in perfect alignment. Okay, so this is the effect of vacancy defect, and it affects certain area around it in crystal. So now let us move on next example. So second stoichiometry defect is interstitial defect. So in this type of defects, particles occupies interstitial sites. Now what is interstitial sites? So interstitial sites is when two particles or rods have space between them. So if particle occupies this space between two different particles, then it is called interstitial site. So that means in this type of defects, actually site should be empty. That means, as we can see in this figure, this location and this location should be empty, but instead certain particles occupies that site, so it is called interstitial sites. So in actual crystal, these locations should be empty. That means these locations are voids, but some particles occupies this empty space, and that's why they creates defects, and this defect is called interstitial defect. Now effect on density. So as you can see, suppose if you have perfect crystal, then in this perfect crystal number of particles will be 12, because in perfect crystal these two particles do not exist. So mass will be 12 multiplied by mass of single atom divided by a cube, that means total volume. But with defect, these two particles will increase, so total particles will be 14 multiplied by mass of single particle divided by a cube. So this one is without defect crystal, and this is with defect crystal. So as we can see, number of particles increases, that's why mass increases, and because of increasing mass, density increases. So this defect will increase the density of substance. So this is the example of interstitial defect. So as you can see, this particle occupies interstitial site, and because it occupies interstitial site, that means actually it should be void like this. So it is present inside the void, but because of larger size of this particle, it is bigger than actual void, so it will mutate space around it or arrangement around it. So as you can see, now it affects these lines. So in a perfect crystal, you will see this type of mutation due to particles present in interstitial site. Okay, so this is the example of interstitial site, and these two defects are seen in non-ionic substances. Now let us move on next to defect, Frankel defect and Schottky defect. Now these two defects are seen in ionic crystals. So now we will use example of ionic compounds. But first thing, with any kind of defect, whether it is stoichiometry or impurity or non-stoichiometry or defect, doesn't matter. All of the ionic compounds will maintain neutrality. That means total positive charge and total negative charge must be equal. With defect or without defect, doesn't matter. So in all of the example, one thing is common: all of the ionic compounds will maintain their ionic charges. With defect or without defect, they will be neutral. Okay, so keep in mind, all of the ionic compounds with or without defect will show neutrality. So let us move on. Frankel and Schottky defects. So this is Frankel and Schottky defect diagram. So as we can see in this case, first of all let us discuss Frankel defect. So what is going on in Frankel defect? So Frankel defect is actually showing both type of defects we discussed earlier, that means vacancy and interstitial defect. Now Frankel defect is generally observed in ionic substance which has larger difference in their ionic sizes. Normally positive ions or cations are smaller in size and negative ions are larger in size. If difference between their radiuses are comparatively big, then they will show Frankel defect. Smaller sized particle, usually positive ions, will be displaced or move from their initial locations. That means particle is dislocated from its initial or normal site to an interstitial site. As for example, as mentioned, in this case, this location is actual location or normal location of positive ion. But positive ion is dislocated or moved from that location to a new location, which is actually interstitial site. It should be empty. No particle ions should be present at that location. It should be void at that location, but instead positive ion occupies space. That means it occupies interstitial site. So because of this type of defect, at the original location of that particle or normal location of that particle now has vacancy defect, and new location has interstitial defect. So both type of defects are seen in this case, but total number of particle remains constant. That means total number of positive and total number of negative ions are same. That means no change in total net charge. That means if before defect total number of positive ions, let us say we have 100 of them, and total number of negative ions, it is again same, 100 of them. So total 100 positive charge and total 100 negative charge. Now one positive ion is moved from its initial location to new location, but it is still present inside the crystal. So total positive charge remains constant. That's why neutrality is maintained. Now total number of particles, constituent particles, do not change and volume do not change as well. So density remains constant in Frankel defect. Okay, so density will be constant in this case. Now let us move on Schottky defect. So in Schottky defect, as we can see, we will create some vacancies, but as mentioned earlier, we have to keep in mind always neutrality must be maintained. Okay, so you have to maintain neutrality always. So that's why if one positive ion is removed from any of its site, then you have to remove one negative ion as well to maintain neutrality. So this type of effect is seen in Schottky defect. So as we can see, this location is actually location of positive ion. Similarly, this second location is actual location of positive ion, but positive ions are removed from that locations. But at the same time, this location belongs to negative ion, and similarly this location also belongs to negative ion. So that means if you remove one positive ion, then you have to remove one negative ion as well. So number of positive and negative ions removed in Schottky defects are equal, and because of that total charge will be maintained. Let us say initially we have 100 positive and 100 negative ions. So that means total positive charge is equal to plus 100, total negative charge is equal to minus 100. Now we removed two positive and two negative ions and we created vacancy defects at their original sites. So that means now we have 98 positive and 98 negative, but still total positive and negative charge remains constant, so neutrality is maintained. So that's why no change in charge will be observed. But what about density? So as this defect creates vacancies, vacancy defect decreases density, because in this case volume do not change, but because of vacancies at certain locations mass decreases, and if mass decreases that means density decreases. So Schottky defect decreases the density. Now compounds which has comparatively less difference in the ionic radiuses of their respective positive and negative ions shows Schottky defect. That means difference of radiuses will be comparatively less in Schottky defect. As for example, NaCl, KCl, CaCl or AgBr like compounds have comparatively less difference in their ionic radiuses. That's why they will show Schottky defects. Now example, let us discuss example of NaCl for Schottky defect. Now NaCl compound, if you have 1 centimeter cube of NaCl crystal, then usually at normal temperature it will have 10 raised to 6 defects of Schottky defects. That means in 1 centimeter cube normally 10 raised to 22 ions of NaCl are present, and this cube will have 10 raised to 6 defects. That means per 10 raised to 16 ions we have one Schottky defect. That means it is comparatively negligible amount. 10 raised to 16 ions will have one defect, so it is comparatively very low percentage of defect, but this defect will increase with increasing temperature. Now in Frankel defect some compounds are mentioned, as for example ZNS, AgCl, AgBr, AgI. So these compounds have comparatively larger difference in their ionic radiuses. That's why they will show Frankel defect, but both of them have a common example. So one example is mentioned in Frankel defect as well as Schottky defect, which is AgBr. Silver bromide has intermediate sizes of their ion. That means sizes of their ion belongs to Frankel defects as well as Schottky defect range. So that's why they can show both type of defects. Now let us move on our next type, impurity defects. So as the name suggests, we are going to add impurities in our pure crystals. So let us use example of NaCl as mentioned in textbook. So here we have a NaCl crystal with some impurity of SrCl2. That means we are adding SrCl2 in NaCl. Okay. So what is the difference between them? So in SrCl2 cation has plus 2 charge, while in NaCl cation has plus 1 charge. Negative ions are common in both of them. That means we have Cl minus as negative ion. That means if you are going to add plus 2 charge in plus 1 charge containing compound, then as mentioned earlier we have to keep charges neutral. Okay, compound must be neutral. Total positive and total negative charge must be equal. So to equalize the charge we have to remove comparatively more amount of cations from our actual substance. That means if you are going to add 1 SrCl, Sr plus 2 ion, then you have to remove 2 Na plus to equalize the charge. That means suppose in our perfect crystal, let us say you have 10 Na plus and we are adding 2 Sr2 plus in it. So total we add plus 4 charge. So to maintain the balance, you have to remove plus 4 charge obtained from Na plus. And plus 4, that means you have to remove 4 Na ions. Okay, we added just 2 Sr plus 2, and that's why you have to remove 4 Na plus. So what happened next? If we are removing 4 cations and we are adding just 2 cations, that means out of 4 vacancies, only 2 will be occupied by new cations and 2 will be vacant. That means, as you can see in this example, we added 1 Sr plus 2. That means we have to remove 2 Na plus. One was removed from this location and one was removed from this location. Out of these two locations, one is occupied by added Sr2 plus, but second location will be empty. So that means it will create vacancy defect at the second location of cation. Okay, so this is the example of impurity defect. By the addition of impurity, you will create some vacancy defects as well. So this location, we can say that it is impurity defect, and here because of that impurity we have a vacancy defect. One more example is in AgCl compound we can add CdCl2, because in AgCl, Ag has plus 1 oxidation state and CdCl2 has plus 2 oxidation state of cation. That's why if we add impurity of Cd plus 2 in Ag plus compound, then it will remove 2 Ag plus per 1 Cd2 plus. At one location Cd plus 2 will occupy and second location will remain vacant. Okay, so this is impurity defect. Now let us move on last defect, non-stoichiometry defects. So as mentioned earlier, non-stoichiometry defect will disturb formula of crystal. So it has two different type of defects, metal excess defect and metal deficiency defect. Now metal excess, that means metals usually produces positive ions. So in first case, cations are increased or ratio of cations will increase, and in second case metal deficiency, that means quantity of cations will decrease as compared to negative ions. So in first example we will see that ratio of positive ion will increase, and second example ratio of positive ion will decrease. So let us discuss it step by step. So this is the figure mentioned in textbook. In metal excess defect, again we have two different type of metal excess defects. Now first one is due to anion vacancies. So what is anion vacancies? So first of all, let us assume our crystal is perfect crystal without any defects. So to do so, we have to place one negative particle here. Just assume all the particles ions are at their original positions. Now what happened when we heat this compound in the atmosphere of metal? So for that, let us assume this is NaCl compound or crystal, and we are heating this compound in Na atoms vapors. That means atmosphere contains sodium vapors, that means they are in atomic state, and we are heating this substance or NaCl salt in presence of that Na vapor. So some of the Na atoms will occupy surface of this crystal. So usually they will be present at this location. Okay, let us assume one sodium atom occupies this location. Now to neutralize its charge or to neutralize balance created on the surface, Cl will diffuse on surface. That means Cl atom present inside the bulk will move on surface and they will try to balance this positive ion. How this type of situation will occur? So just assume that negative ion present here will leave its electron. That means reaction will be Cl minus will become Cl atom and it will release one electron. Now electron will be present here. Okay, that means Cl will left its electron at its original location. and then it will move on surface and it will occupy adjacent location from sodium. That means this type of situation will occur. That means at the original location of Cl minus, now we have one electron released from Cl. And now on surface, what will happen? So as we know, common nature of Na is to release electron and common nature of Cl is to accept electron. So Na will donate its electron to Cl. Okay, so electron transfer will takes place from Na to Cl. So Na will become positive in charge and Cl will become negative in charge. Okay, so surface will be observed totally normal, just like inner bulk. We have positive ion and negative ion at the adjacent location. So same type of situation will be observed here. But what is going inside the bulk is at the location of negative ion we have vacancy, and in this vacancy we have electron present released by negative ion. Okay, so released electron will be present at initial location of negative ion, so it is called anion vacancy. So because of these anion vacancies, metal portion will increase. Okay, total quantity of metal will be more than total quantity of non-metals or negative ions, but still total charge is constant. No positive or negative charge will develop. Total positive and total negative charge are exactly same, and that's why our compound will be neutral. Now these type of vacancies are called F center or Farben center, a German word which represents color center. Now why they are called color center? Because these type of vacancies will develop colors in compounds or crystals. If suppose example is NaCl, then this type of defects or anion vacancies will develop yellowish color. So as the number of these type of defects increases, more yellow color will be observed. Now why this type of defects shows color? Because when visible lights are falling on this compound, then these electrons will absorb some of the energies from them, that light, and remaining light will be observed as the color of substance. Okay, so because of absorbance of energy from these electrons, compounds will show colors. So NaCl shows yellow color, lithium chloride shows pink color, and KCl usually shows violet color as the number of these type of defects increases. Okay, so this is metal excess defect due to anion vacancies. Now second is metal excess defect due to the presence of extra cations at interstitial site. So simple example is mentioned. Suppose we have zinc oxide. When we heat zinc oxide, on heating simple reaction takes place. First of all, Zn plus 2 and O minus 2, they are separate out. Then O minus 2 will convert in O2 molecules and they will release electrons. Now released electrons will occupy location of negative ions removed from it. Because oxygen is in gaseous state, it will escape from the crystal lattice. Okay, so they will create empty space or voids. Now zinc plus 2 ions will move at interstitial site and the electrons will move in at the nearing site of this positive ion. So again Zn plus 2 charge will be neutralized by electrons released by oxygen. So neutrality is maintained, but negative ions are removed from the crystal lattice. Suppose initially we have 100 zinc and 100 oxygen ions. Now two of them are removed. That means 2 oxygen will convert itself into oxygen gas and it will remove from it. So that means we have 100 Zn plus 2 and 98 O minus 2 ions. But charge of Zn plus 2 will be neutralized by electrons released from oxygen, and that's why neutrality will be maintained. but stoichiometry is disturbed, and that's why you will get this type of formula Zn1 plus x O. So as you can see here, okay, we have Zn1 plus O x. This type of formulas will be observed due to this type of defects. Now let us move on. Second point, metal deficiency defect. Now in this type of defect, quantity of metal will be comparatively lower than standard stoichiometry composition. So usually we have many such type of compounds which do not follow this type of stoichiometry rules. That means stoichiometry is hard to maintain in certain compound. As for example, one common example is mentioned for FeO. Ferrous oxide usually do not follow stoichiometry rule. That means per 1 Fe plus 2 you will get 1 O minus 2 as per stoichiometry. But always quantity of metal, in most cases quantity of metal will be comparatively lower than standard stoichiometry ratio. Why this type of situation occur, and which type of compound shows this type of defects? Normally compounds which shows more than one type of oxidation state, as for example in this case Fe is mentioned, and as we know Fe can show two different type of oxidation states, plus 2 and plus 3. So if positive ions or metals shows more than one type of oxidation states, then they can show these type of defects. So what is going on in this example? Let us discuss. So as mentioned here, our ratio is, in this case you will get 0.93 Fe to 0.96 Fe per 1 oxygen ion. So how neutralization is maintained? As mentioned earlier, we have to maintain neutrality. Okay, so how neutrality is maintained? So let us discuss it. And one more thing, numericals will be asked from this topic. Okay, so let us discuss numerical and how neutrality is maintained. Now let us use example of FeO. But let us say this compound is not in stoichiometry, so ratio of Fe is comparatively lower than its standard ratio. So how neutralization is maintained? Suppose we have 100 Fe initially and 100 O. So as we know, oxidation state of Fe will be plus 2 and oxidation state of oxygen will be minus 2. So total positive charge it will be plus 200 and total negative charge it will be minus 200. So total neutrality is maintained. Now let us assume some of the Fe plus 2s are removed, or some of the quantity of metal is removed from this crystal. So removed quantity is, let us say 10 Fe plus 2s are removed. So total quantity of Fe, now we have 90 of them. So total charge from 90 Fe2 plus will be 180. So now we have to maintain minus 200 charge to maintain neutrality. So some of the Fe plus 2 will convert themselves into Fe plus 3 to maintain neutrality. Okay, so total we have 90 Fe plus 2. Let us say 70 remains as Fe2 plus and 20 converts themselves into Fe3 plus. Okay, so now we have 70 Fe plus 2 and 20 Fe plus 3. So now let us calculate the total charge. So 70 Fa plus 2, that means 70 multiplied by 2, you will get 140 from Fe plus 2, and 20 Fe plus 3, that means 20 multiplied by 3, you will get plus 60. So total charge 200. So now we have plus 200 equals minus 200. So neutrality is maintained. So that's how quantity of metal will decrease and still compound will be neutral. So if you see this type of formula, it is actually mixture of FeO and Fe2O3. Okay, so let us discuss numericals. So as for example, let us use the same value given here. We have Fe 0.95O and our target is to find percentage of Fe3 plus in it. Okay, so what is the percentage of Fe3 plus in given compound? So to find the percentage of Fe plus 3, we need to use equation for finding oxidation state. First of all, let us discuss that equation. You already learned that, but let us discuss it first and then we will move on our actual numerical. So suppose our target is to find oxidation state of sulfur in H2SO4. Okay, so how can we do it? Simple thing, number of hydrogen multiply by its oxidation state, which will be plus 1, plus number of sulfur multiply by its oxidation state, and we have to find it, plus number of oxygen multiply by its oxidation state, which will be minus 2, is equal to total charge. Now H2SO4 molecule is neutral, that's why total is equal to 0. So now let us put the value. Now 2 multiplied by 1 plus 1 sulfur plus 4 multiplied by minus 2 is equal to 0. So that means 2 plus sulfur minus 8 is equal to 0. That's why sulfur is equal to 8 minus 2 is equal to plus 6. So charge of sulfur in H2SO4 will be plus 6. So we will use same type of equation for finding percentage of Fe plus 3 in our given example. So let us say we have x moles of Fe plus 3. Our target is to find percentage of Fe plus 3. So let us assume number of molecules, ions of Fe plus 3 is equal to x. Now total Fe is equal to 0.95. That means quantity of Fe2 plus will be 0.95 minus x, and quantity of oxygen is equal to 1. Okay, so number of Fe plus 3 is equal to x, number of Fe plus 2 is equal to 0.95 minus x, and number of oxygen is equal to 1. So let us use these values in equation. So our equation will be quantity of Fe plus 3, which is x, multiply by oxidation state of Fe plus 3 plus quantity of Fe plus 2, which is 0.95 minus x, multiply by oxidation state of Fe plus 2 plus quantity of oxygen, which is 1, multiplied by oxidation state of oxygen, is equal to 0 because our compound is neutral. So now let us put the oxidation states here. Okay, so now let us solve the equation. So x into 3, that means 3x, plus 0.95 multiplied by 2, 1.9, minus x multiplied by 2, minus 2x, minus 2 multiplied by 1, minus 2 is equal to 0. So 3x minus 2x is equal to x. Now minus 2 on right hand side, that means plus 2, and plus 1.9 on right hand side, that means minus 1.9. So x is equal to 0.1 for given example. So value of x is equal to 0.1. Now let us find the percentage of Fe plus 3. As we know, number of Fe plus 3 is equal to x now, but total Fe is equal to 0.95. That means 0.95 is equal to 100%. Then x is equal to how many? And x is equal to 0.1 as we calculated. So 0.1 is equal to how many? So cross multiplication, 0.1 multiply by 100 divided by 0.95. So by solving this equation, you will get 10.526%. That means almost 10.5%. So percentage of Fe plus 3 is equal to 10.5 approx. Now similarly, if you want to find percentage of Fe plus 3, then you can use the same method. To find percentage of Fe plus 2, first we need the quantity of Fe plus 2. Now Fe plus 2, as mentioned earlier, it is equal to 0.95 minus x, and we know that x is equal to 0.1, so that means Fe plus 2 is equal to 0.85. So total is equal to 0.95 is equal to 100%, then 0.85 is equal to how many? So 0.85 multiply by 100 divide by 0.95, it is equal to 89.47%. Okay, so nearly 89.5% Fe plus 2 and 10.5% Fe plus 3 are present in Fe 0.95O. Now range is mentioned in textbook, that means quantity of Fe will start from 0.93 to 0.96 per 1 oxygen. Okay, so select any of this value between these values and then try to find percentage of Fe plus 3. Okay, try to find yourself. If you have any confusion, then you can ask me and we will discuss it again. One more thing related to this point, name of this type of mixture of compound. Now in the metal abstraction unit you will learn that when you want to purify metal Fe obtained from earth crust, then multiple steps are involved in it, and one of these step has Fe3O4 compound mentioned in it. Now Fe3O4, that means we have total 4 oxygens which will give us -8, and we have 3 Fe which gives +8 oxidation state. That means from 3 Fe you will get +8 oxidation state. That means per 1 oxygen Fe you will have 8/3 oxidation state. So these type of fractional values are actually not allowed in oxidation state. So what is going on here? So actually Fe3O4 is a mixture of FeO and Fe2O3. That means Fe plus 2 and Fe plus 3 oxides. Now let us calculate total quantity. So we have 1 Fe from FeO and 2 from Fe2O3. So total quantity of Fe 3. Total quantity of oxygen 4. So Fe3O4 is actually mixture of ferrous oxide and ferric oxide. So what we will call this compound? So as we know, if you have two different oxidation states of metal, then lower oxidation state will use OUS prefix suffix, and higher oxidation state will use IC suffix. That means FeO is called ferrous oxide and Fe2O3, because of higher oxidation state, is called ferric oxide. Now when we have mixture of both of them, that means Fe3O4, then this compound is called ferroferric oxide. Okay, because it contains +2 and +3 both oxidation state. So combinedly it is called ferroferric oxide, and oxidation state of Fe in ferroferric oxide will be 8/3 if asked in MCQ. Similar example, lead oxide. Now we have two different oxidation state for lead as well, Pb plus 2 and Pb plus 3. That means PbO will be called plumbous oxide and Pb2O3 will call plumbic oxide, because Pb is derived from name plumbous. Okay, so lead is also called plumbous. So lower oxidation state is called plumbous oxide, higher oxidation state is called plumbic oxide. And when we have mixture of them, that means Pb3O4, it will call plumbo-plumbic oxide because it has combination of both of them. And again, oxidation state of Pb or lead in plumbo-plumbic oxide will be +8/3, just like Fe. Okay, so if you have any confusion regarding to this, then you can ask me